I'd like to call to order the meeting of the November Sky Valley City Council meeting. Lynn Becker, if you stand, Lynn Becker is going to give our invocation and then we'll have a pledge of allegiance.
This is a prayer from the heart for our Sky Valley Council, Mayor, City Council-elect, and also for our residents on November 14th. Dear Father, please watch over and guide our council at this, their next to last meeting of 2017. Give them extra strength and confidence as they wrap up their duties and responsibilities and, as much as they can, complete their approved projects of the past few years. Father, please help our council and our mayor to remember that the tremendous amounts of time and effort they have spent while acting in their positions was time very well expended, and their many accomplishments leave a lasting, positive, improved, fruitful, and more safety-conscious legacy in this city. Father, this even includes those speed bumps. Dear Father, upon our Sky Valley residents here today and also upon all others, please bestow some of your deepest compassions, because compassions may really be needed for us. And dear Father, we could use handfuls of more understanding as well. A shovel full of respect would not get wasted either. Please help us as individuals to find and feel your uplifting spirit. Dear Father, please guide the new council members and the new mayor who will step into council's shoes. Please, would you help them along? Would you mind floating above them and directing your graciousness and wisdom to drift down copiously as they begin their terms of service? To quote a few lines from Peter Marshall, chaplain of the U.S. Senate, it's more important to stand for something rather than to be against everything. Give to us clear vision that we may know where to stand and what to stand for. Because unless we stand for something, we shall fall for anything. With that, I say amen. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business will be to approve the minutes of the October 4th regular council meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. I need to approve the minutes for the November 7th special call council meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Motion approved. I need a motion to adopt the agenda for today's meeting. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Approved. Mayor's remarks. Obviously, I'm not the mayor. I'm just filling for the mayor who was unavailable for today. First order, I'd like to congratulate Mayor-elect Mack. Mack has been a good friend of mine ever since we've been up here, and I know that he'll do a great job. I also like to congratulate Neil, Paul, and Al on their victory. And we're looking forward to all of the changes that we've been promised, and we know there will be for the good, because these men do have Sky Valley the best interest in their hearts. Mac?
I got a little frog in my throat this morning, but I want to thank everybody that's voted for me, for the council, and all the people in Sky Valley that turned out to vote. It was a great feeling when you win, and we all felt that we sent out in our emails and our notices, that I can promise you that we're going to try our darndest to do what we said we're going to do. You bear with us. We're not going to turn it over overnight, but we're going to do it. And that I promise you. Thank you.
Councilman Depot.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I congratulate all of those who were elected, and I look forward to working with them. And turn up my volume? Okay. I got it. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for coming, and we can move on to Ed.
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
I'm trying to get over here. I'm Taylor. Okay, I just wanted to say good morning to everybody, and I would like everybody to meet the new pastor of the Chapel of Sky Valley, Reverend Bob Behrman. Please give him a round of applause. So, thank you, Bob. Is there something you would like to say hello or what? Okay.
Omar, I have it real quick.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I know it's hard to hear these speakers the way they are, so I'm trying to avoid the feedback. Well, I'm sure this one's even turned on. Okay, that's better, I think. I think it's better to go this way.
No.
No, you can hear me. Wow, acoustics. You know, I remember the first time I ever saw Sky Valley was 1976 in January, and my late wife and I sat by that fireplace up here on a weekend when this was still a ski resort. If you can remember those days. I was working at that time at a radio station in Toccoa, Georgia, and had been invited up here to spend some time because they were an advertising account of mine at that point, many, many years ago. So I've remembered this town with fond memories over the years. I have been asked to be a guest speaker occasionally at the chapel. And one of the hardest decisions I ever made was this past year when I received the call to consider being the pastor here at this chapel with its history that goes back so many years, and decided to come out of my retirement and at least spend the next 4 or 5 years guiding this chapel. So it's an honor for me to be up here. We're in the middle of renovating a condominium up on the hill that I purchased from an unnamed council member. But I'm enjoying it. It's been a challenge. It's nice to be here, and hopefully if you have nothing else to do on a Sunday morning, you can find us at 10 o'clock in the morning up at the top of the hill. We'd love to have you.
Thank you, Bob. And I just want to tell everybody, good morning, have a blessed Thanksgiving. Appreciate you being here, and our new council will get off to a jump start in January. We'll get done what we've all. Okay, thank you.
Linda.
Good morning. Just wanted to give you some stats. We've had the Sky to Summit 50 and 25K this past weekend. They had 217 runners on Saturday for the 50K, of which 179 finished. And on Sunday, they did the 25K, and they had another 108 people. I talked to Sean this morning. He said he had a great time. Everybody felt welcomed, and they appreciated everything. And as far as I know, everything went off wonderfully. So they have a permit through the Forest Service to be back and to use that trail for their run for the next. They have a 5-year permit now, so they intend to be here in Sky Valley on the Veterans Day weekend for the next 5 years. So we're excited to have them and to welcome them back. Just want to mention the Sky Valley City employees were honored by the Sky Valley Property Owners Association at an Employee Appreciation Day on October 25th at the Sky Valley Club. and we appreciate the POA and the club for their support and making the city employees feel very honored, and we appreciate that very much. The recycle schedule for Thursday, November 23rd, we will pick up recycling a day early, so it will be picked up on Wednesday, the 22nd, before Thanksgiving. We did receive notice of a grant for the 2017 GMA, Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System, which is GMEBS, the Health Promotion and Wellbeing Grant of $1,000. ELIFAST was the spearhead on that grant application, and we appreciate her getting that $1,000 for the city to use for the Employees Health and Wellness Program. The website, this year we've had 28,922 unique visitors to the website, including 3,202 during the month of October. We have 472 emails for the city news and another 998 that we have collected for our event and tourism information distribution. For our Facebook, we gathered another 56 followers during the month of October for a total of 1,958 followers now on our city Facebook page. And at the visitor center, we greeted 1,637 people so far this year, including 235 during the month of October. Our long distance travelers came from Texas, New York, Massachusetts, Illinois, Ohio, Iowa, Nebraska, and Argentina. So we're glad that we're able to welcome those to Sky Valley.
Thank you, Linda.
Also, I'd like to say Linda's mother is back home now. She told me this morning, and we still need to keep her in our prayers, please.
I do appreciate all the emails and the prayers.
Under old business, we need to take up the bridge to connect the walking path again. As you know, last council meeting, it was voted to approve a contract to bridge over.
Bridges to the other side.
Oh, bridges to the other side. It seems they had a problem with getting some liability insurance, so they will not be able to do the job. So Clarence Redden, who did the pavilion and the restrooms over there and did a great job, has changed his bid to reflect some of the things that we wanted that the other company had. So we need to get back and approve that again so that he can get started on that. So I need a motion to approve that so we can discuss it.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Yes, is this whole packet right here belongs to Clarence?
There's 4 pages
Actually, excuse me, Clarence has, I believe you have something.
Yeah, it's from some mocks, I think all that.
Clarence is the contractor that we're trying to approve, and he has some samples of what he's planning on doing.
And the mic's over here, Clarence.
All right, yeah, we grab this wood.
We asked him to revise his bid based on doing the closer pickets that were included in the bid that was approved last month. And so he said that there were several different options for the railings, and so that's why I've asked him to come, and he was nice enough to bring us some little samples.
Yeah, if y'all want to touch these, were a little down, but I had my guys make these up. How about that? Yeah, better. This is kind of what y'all voted on. This will be the kind of the view that you'll be walking across. It's kind of got a little slight elevation to it, you know, if you want to use it for an armrest. Whatnot. And that was what was presented. I think y'all have a photo with that was voted on. But I just told them, you know, as far as, you know, aesthetics and longevity and everything, we've been doing a lot of these railings here. They're just kind of out of galvanized pickets. They're very durable, and, you know, like I said, they're low maintenance. Now, that's another option, same appearance, but, like I say, longevity there it's worth it. And that's just a regular basic galvanized. This one is just painted black. I'm sure y'all are aware of a lot of those. They'll be 4 inches in the center. Everything will be the same. It's just, we just have a few other options. The aesthetics are the same, but, like I say, the durability of the galvanized is, we're doing more and more of those. Anyway, I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just trying to show you have other options.
Got a question. What is the material you're using for your handrails, and is that a Trex material?
It's all pressure treated. This is just kind of, stuff that's laying there around the shop. I'm just trying to get you a visual of something that, the appearance that it would look like. It would be standard height, 36, and it'll also have a little guide rail at waist high, if you're walking across it, you can, get a little balance on it.
That's pretty much guaranteed for warping, and it's not going to curl up and...
Well, wood's gonna be wood, so, we're gonna keep all of the pickets, the posts and everything, I think on 6 foot center, so, that'll be minimized. And, there is a product, we do several of that, with a composite top rail where, it alleviates the warpage and everything. So that's another thought, we can actually go composite.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How long?
34 feet. And like I said, we've been over there working on the pavilion and the restrooms, and notice a lot of people out there, walking the gravel, and they get to the end, notice them coming back, and some of them actually venture out in the street, but there is a lot of traffic over there. It kind of blew me away to see all the traffic flow. I guess everybody wants to check their mail or something. But a lot of, it is dangerous for people over there, so I see the point of the bridge going across there. Like I say, again, I'm not trying to say anything, but trying to get from point A to point B. It's out here at the end of the parking lot, and if you're up by the post office, you'll see where the gravel trail ends. It's just across that little branch there. So,
Walking surface would be what, 5/4?
5/4. I know in the previous code, I think they had just one on each end. We're actually putting 4 steel I-beams, so ours will be, 16-inch on center, but the time the beams are touching, they're almost touching, so, but 5/4 decking, just like most of y'all have on your decks, I'm sure, up here. And there is a composite material that can be, we just got through doing a big deck out of composite. It's a little more upgrade, but, we can, add that.
What's a little upgrade? I mean, there's an exact price, but percentage-wise, how much?
It's about 60% more. But it's there. It's forever. Yeah, and we use a hidden fastener, so you don't have to worry about nail heads sticking up.
Clarence,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we were told that the bridge would be portable, if possible. How would you be involved in that if it had to be removed, or would you?
The one I construct's not going to be very portable. The beams we're using is steel I-beams, and they're 39 pounds per foot.
I think the bridge that we were going to go through Clayton ornamental ironwork was the portable. It could have been moved. It came just set it in place.
Clarence, can it be moved with a crane if it had to be moved?
Oh, yeah, require a crane,
Right.
certainly, yeah. Man,
I thought the code was 42 inches for rail, not 36.
36. Well, that's on your,
The rating I have to build on my deck is 42.
between 36, like Twain's coating is 36 to 42, most common is 36, just people like me are kind of a little short stature.
What is the code?
The code is 36 to 42.
code is 36,
to 42.
42,
Yes.
anywhere in between that. Milt, you so high up there, you high.
Well, I definitely want 42.
Well, that's something y'all probably need to agree on, you know, if we proceed with it, the height, because it's harder to add later. I mean, we can always cut off, of course, but. Ma'am? How much was our bid? Total price we have is, I think it's $15,450, I think is our.
15,450. I believe the last one we approved last time was 16 and something.
Yeah, our original quote, I think, was somewhere around 12 or 13. I can't, you know, I don't really remember. We do, like I said, I do 2 quotes a day. But it was just, you know, a little rail, like for you know, people in wheelchairs, there's a little guardrail, but if they're in a wheelchair, they could actually, you know, see through the bridge. I mean, there's not a whole lot to see. It's pretty much just a connector from point A to point B. A safe way. I mean, you know, it's like I said, we've noticed a lot of danger. You know, people getting out there and trying to walk in the street. There is a lot of traffic out there.
Did you say there would be a ramp for wheelchairs, or you said something about a wheelchair?
Well, it's all level out there. I think everything is,
Okay.
There won't be any stairs.
no.
And at last month's meeting, the bridge that was approved from Bridges to the Other Side was $16,820. And then this bid, and of course you have the bids, remaining bids from last month too, but Clarence's revised bid based on the pickets being closer together was $15,450.
I think one of the problems with them being far apart was some people complained that their dog might fall over through the pickets when they're walking and get hung on the leash.
Can I ask a
What that
question? Can a wheelchair access this walking path? I mean,
Well,
can you move a wheelchair because of the gravel anyway?
Well, like I say, yeah, the gravel probably poses a threat right now. You might want to, you know, see about stiffening that up in the future. But like I say, the people that do walk it now, I haven't, you know, I personally haven't seen anybody out there in the wheelchair, but, you know, I have seen a lot of people walking it as we were doing the construction over there in the pavilion and the restroom, as well as the post office replaced those posts for y'all last week. And there was a lot of people walking there. When they get to the end, like I said, they either have to turn around or take their lives in danger and walk the street.
That's the only place a wheelchair can go that's on the street right now.
Exactly, and that's not very safe. Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to be walking out there. I know it's a wide street, but I know if I meet somebody, I kind of have to, you know, hug the shoulder on one side or the other to allow the other car to pass.
Any more discussion? Thank you, Clarence. Appreciate your time and effort in this. If there's no more discussion, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Vote carries 3-2. New business. Consider resolution for the adoption of next year's budget. We've had a workshop or two, and then we've had a public hearing on the matter, and this budget is, need a motion to approve this budget.
So moved.
Second. All approved. Everybody, any discussion? Excuse me. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have a request to return Alpine Drive back to two-way traffic. We have, I think, a couple of emails that people have sent that they requested be read at this meeting. I think, Ellie, you have those?
I do. This
question is from Lisa Unger. It says, my husband and I are homeowners in Sky Valley since 2014. When we purchased our first home on Alpine in 2015, we purchased our second home on Ridgepole Drive as an investment for our current lease to my sister. We own 3 lots in Sky Valley. To my point, we pay a lot of taxes to the city of Sky Valley. The reason for my letter as a taxpayer, I'm very disappointed in the way Alpine Drive was paved and made a one-way street. The way our driveway is angled, we have to enter it coming from Ridgepole to LaBelle Circle, then Alpine. If we come from the direction of Alpine, we have to back into our driveway. When we leave our home, we have to back down Alpine Drive until Schomburg Way and turn around. This is ridiculous. Not only is it ridiculous, it is an accident waiting to happen. We were told that the city did not have the funds to correct this issue. As taxpayers, we have greatly increased our property values, and we are the one and only homeowner that has been inconvenienced from the one-way street. Not only are we upset about the street being one-way, the maintenance is poor compared to other streets in Sky Valley. On the outgoing basis, the street is always covered in red clay and debris, as folks are continually going down the wrong way. We are asking that the situation be addressed and revisited. If you would like to reach out to myself or Kirk for further details, please feel free to contact us. Very unhappy homeowner, Lisa Unger. We also received a email from Will Gurley, and he said, I will be unable to attend the Tuesday meeting of the City Council. I would appreciate you reading this email into record regarding Alpine traffic direction. Laura and I strongly feel that Alpine Drive should remain one way as currently designed at this time. While it is not convenient for us, as many other residents, citizens, and visitors, we place public safety ahead of convenience. Until the sides of the roadway can be further leveled and stabilized, it is not simply safe to partially pull off the road to allow delivery and other large trucks to pass on a two-way traffic situation. We appreciate the efforts that the city has made to rectify this problem, but unfortunately, it is not yet solved. Best regards, Will Gurley.
We've got others. I don't know if you want to get a motion on the table first, or if you want to hear from everybody.
Let's hear from everybody.
Okay, I know we have some
I'm
other.
sorry, did you have another?
Do you want us to read this, or do you want to read it? It's long, so hold on. Okay, this is from Jim Curtis. First, I understand the Unger's problem. Their driveway is at an oblique angle to Alpine. The ditch on the opposite side of the street is deep. They have to back out of their driveway and make a hairpin maneuver in reverse to drive downhill to Alex Mountain Drive and Ridgepole. It is probably possible to execute such a laborious turn, but it is both dangerous, frustrating, and inconvenient. Second, their concern is that it has been 2 years and the road is still one way. That is a long time to wait for the city to get it right. Actually, we don't need anything close to perfect shoulders to be safe. We just need places for vehicles to pull over if two wide vehicles meet. The problem is that the red clay we put on the shoulder holds moisture, and we all know that red clay makes squishy mud, and in many places on the shoulder, tires sink down to the original grade level. The red clay has mostly not compacted, and it has had plenty of time. Even so, it dries out nicely in hot weather and becomes as hard as rock. Same thing when it freezes. Grass is attractive, but isn't compacting the soil. Dan McAfee is right. We shouldn't make Alpine two-way until we firm up some shoulders. I remember when the suggestion was made in the beginning to throw down some gravel. The city just needs to identify the soft turnouts and lay down some gravel to compact into the clay. Gravel is more expensive, but at least we know now that the cheap solution didn't work, so it's time for Plan B. After 2 years, we deserve to have this done quickly so Alpine can be reopened. We are about to start the third winter of one-way traffic during a season when there is very little traffic in either direction at any time of day. Third, I sympathize with Debbie McAfee's concern about driving on Alpine. Fortunately, she lives on the western end of Alpine, quite close to Alex Mountain Drive. There are 3 houses on Alpine with driveways on that short stretch that can be used to avoid ongoing traffic on the way to Alex Mountain Drive. This is a relatively convenient and safe workaround when Alpine is open to two-way traffic if there are lingering concerns. Finally, we all make sacrifices to live in the mountains, but we do it because we love living here. Coping with curvy, narrow roads and driving slowly is just part of the equation. I supported making Alpine one-way until the shoulder drop-offs could be made safe. For me, taking the long way around the block takes almost 4 minutes longer to go or to return every time I leave home. Over the last 2 years, I estimate having spent about 100 hours of extra travel time when Alpine has been one way. It is time to get this fixed. The city needs to check the state of the soft shoulders to verify there has been no compaction and then proceed without delay to resolve the issue immediately. I think gravel will be the obvious remedy, but I leave this to our civil engineering professionals. If there is a better solution, I am open to that. It has been 2 years since Alpine was made one way. It could be opened in 30 days. It should be opened in 30 days.
I want to thank those who sent those in.
I
Yeah.
have several. Let me read those now in discussion.
We're discussing. Do I have a motion so that we can discuss this?
So moved.
Motion to what?
My motion is that we make it two-way. That's the issue before us, is to make it two-way for the adoption.
Is there a second? I guess the motion dies in lack of a second.
And I make a motion that we not make it two-way, that we analyze the situation by the city pursuant to civil engineering professionals' suggestions.
Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Yes, let's keep it on the table so we can discuss it.
You want to go first, Chip? You want me to?
Mr. Mayor, I've asked the chief of police to check into this, and he's setting up back. I'd like to have him come down and give us his report, please.
I think he also went and took some pictures for us.
All right. And for those of you who are not familiar with the road and the driveway we're speaking of, it's very similar to driveways that we have all over this town, where they come in at an angle. Some of you have those type of driveways yourself. Turnarounds, backing out, we have that problem all over town, and most of it is on private property, not on the city right-of-way. So let's keep that in mind as well. Most of our roads have horrible shoulders, if they have a shoulder at all. So let's keep that in mind as well. Also, all of our roads are narrow, and nobody drives on their side. You all drive in the middle. I see you. So, keeping these things in mind, we'll address this more specifically. The driveway in question on this one issue is at an angle. However, when the city one-way the road, they put their signs to where you can access the road without having to, from either direction. If you come up Alpine, the angle of their driveway, regardless if the road is two-way or one-way, the angle of the drive is going to remain a problem because it is at an angle and it doesn't matter. If you come up Alpine, you have to back in. Doesn't matter which way the road goes. But in the current state, if you come up Alpine, you must back in at almost a 45-degree angle. if you come in from the other direction on Alex, the road does not turn one way until past the driveway. So when you pull in and come in from Alex, you scoot right on in the driveway. And that's the way it was probably originally designed. Okay. But either way, coming out of that driveway, because like many other driveways, there's not a lot of area in the yard to turn around, you're gonna back out. And when you back out, you're in the road. So if you want to think about what's the best workaround, is if you pull in from the Alex side and you go into the drive the way it's angled, you'll scoot right in. Now when you leave and you back out, guess what? You're facing a do not enter sign. And that's the issue here, is because if they want to turn in the road, there's not room, just like most of the other roads in town. There's a drop-off. And there's not room in their yard for a turnaround. And that is the main issue that you have here. I went out and I photographed it in case any of you are concerned about what the signs actually say. There at the intersection of Alex, you have the sign that says no through traffic. That's because that's your last good opportunity to stop and turn around. When you travel about the length of this room, there is the do not enter sign. Big red sign, do not enter. But just on this side is their driveway. So it doesn't really matter if the road's two-way, one-way, or not. Because the characteristics of the road, the mountain, and the driveway angle, the problem's going to persist regardless of what you do. So I don't know if that helps or not. And the other issue was the shoulders on the roads. Probably very similar to the road you live on. Straight drop-off. You have a mountain on one side, you have a drop-off on the other. We have roads that are actually worse than Alpine. So that is a problem we have. We've talked about it at length about our roads are just narrow. And if you want to start talking about adding a foot to each side of these roads, the first word that comes to mind is what? Cha-ching, right? Highly expensive. So that's kind of how we're looking at it. Is it a public safety issue? I would have to say all of our roads are. And most of the issues are the way we drive on them. People drive right down there. And we do have furniture trucks, UPS, FedEx. We have delivery trucks coming. They're large. When you get a large delivery truck and a Tahoe or an Expedition or a large SUV, there's just no room. And the remedy of, well, we can make pull-offs. Well, that's great if you encounter the truck where there's a pull-off. So it's a citywide problem, not an Alpine Drive problem. And it's something that we need to look at. We have had delivery trucks scoot right up Alpine, and their GPS don't work. It tells them how to get there, buddy, they get there, and then they leave the way they came in. And it's the wrong way on the one way. Thus the accident we had a few months ago with the FedEx driver. Yeah, would it have mattered if his truck is so big, it wouldn't have mattered. Okay. And the drop-offs are on almost every road that we have here. But in this particular case, in this particular driveway at hand, you're just dealing with the characteristics of the road, the mountain, and the angle of that driveway. So I hope that helped to clear up anything.
Could you give your recommendation on, you think it's safer or better for one way or two?
Well, there's really no good way to answer that, because it's anything I say about Alpine, you could apply to any road in this town. It comes back on how we use our roads. Is it dangerous? Of course, they all are. And when we get a layer of ice on them, you guys know, it's treacherous. What would we as a police department prefer on that road? Well, if you look at it strictly from a professional standard, a lot of our roads should be one way because of this exact same problem. The recommendation would be widen the roads. You can put all the dirt and gravel you want on the side of these and go back, and I challenge you, go back and look at the ones that they've done 6-8 months later. It's washed off. It's gone. Why? Because it's on the side of a mountain. We're fighting gravity here. So you really have to, you're looking at a major expense to fix this. So I don't know that one way or two way, one way is perfect, but that's Pandora's box, because now you want your road one way, and you want your road one way, and you want your road one way, and now it takes me 25 minutes to get out of here. And then what do we do when we have an ambulance or a fire truck coming in? That's one thing a lot of people don't think about, and that we do think about, is if one of you call for a fire truck or an ambulance, and those guys are busting tail to get there to you, these roads are hard to drive on. Those fire trucks are large. And if you've seen the new ambulances, they're as big as the fire truck. So those are the kind of things we think about. So an optimal answer would be one way is perfect. It's not convenient, but you have a lot of other roads that are facing the same challenges.
Thank you.
This is a can of worms, but the question, can some of these driveways be slanted the other way if there's a little bit of land? And how that would be done and who would pay for it, and all of it. But can any driveway, some of them, be altered enough so the cars can get in? Be altered so that angle is reduced?
Right. Well, that would depend on your lot, your land, and it would be at the homeowner's expense. Now, the city does have a right-of-way along the roads, and they maintain that. But to create the turnarounds, it's going to be we can't make you as a private homeowner do that. And we can only do what we can do within the purview of our right-of-way. And we don't have a lot of room on the right-of-ways. So yeah, it would be probably on an individual basis. It's not a great answer, but it is what it is.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate the remarks. If we added a foot to on each side of every road in Sky Valley, even if we had the money, this room would be full of people saying, I didn't move up here to live on a highway. I've had that in Atlanta.
I'd like to say something. I measured the street in front of our house the other day, and it measured 17.916667 across feet. So I'm going to round that up to 18 feet. And that was from the outside of those 6-inch stripes, because each stripe is 6 inches. And Dan McAfee measured Alpine. That was 14 feet to the outside. With my Subaru and Bob's truck with the windows, the total width is like 13 feet. So if we went down Alpine, meeting each other, I'd just have to knock him out of the way.
Any further discussion?
When I saw this on the agenda, I sent an email out to pretty much everybody. Well, I did send it to everybody on Alpine Drive, because frankly, I don't think. I'm sorry, can you hear me now? Okay. I sent an email out to everybody on Alpine Drive to ask their opinion, because frankly, I don't use Alpine Drive, so my opinion doesn't really matter. So anyway, what I got back was the very first person on the right-hand side is Scott Stylers. And he says, it's an inconvenience to me, especially being the first house that has a drive, has to drive all the way around rather than go 50 feet to the two-way section. But I assume that the one-way change was made for safety reasons. I would not want my inconvenience to trump safety. With that said, ideally for me, we start the one-way 50 foot farther past my driveway, and I'd be happy. But, so that's his opinion. Frankly, if he's only 50 feet, I would just suggest he turns it over there. Let's see. Debbie Costro, oh, she wrote back, but she's interested in the Japanese grass. Laura Gurley responded 110% to Dan McAfee's email. Dan, would you like to speak, or would you like me to read this?
Read it, and I'll be happy to answer.
Debbie and I are not in favor of this change. While many roads in Sky Valley are narrow, the shoulders on Alpine are too steep to be safely navigated. There's also 4 blind curves on this road. One this past summer. Over the past summer, a FedEx driver drove wrong way on Alpine and crashed into a motorcycle on one of the curves and severely injuring a driver. While I appreciate Mr. Unger's concern about backing out of his driveway, the solution would be to back into the driveway instead of out. In addition, he is not correct that the one-way road reduces the value of his property. If anything, the reduced volume of traffic on Alpine has a positive effect. Since you're here, is there any further comment on that?
Vaughn is correct. If you try to correct the shoulder on the downslope side, it's going to wash out. But we've got a significant ditch on the uphill side that could be filled with gravel and it would wash out. It would give some vehicles a place to exit the road and safely pass another vehicle. And yes, Alpine is one of the most narrow roads. Alpine is one of the most narrow roads in Sky Valley by, what, 6.5 inches? Or feet? Or 4 feet. So, yeah, it's not safe the way it is. I would love to have two-way traffic, but it needs to be safe.
Dan, question for you. Dana, question for you. I've noticed that they put the dirt on the side of Alpine Road because the asphalt was so thick, really, that I think caused the biggest issue. Smaller cars that would go off the road because when you had to meet, somebody had to give, they would actually hit bottom, am I correct?
Actually, the UPS truck actually hit bottom.
Okay.
So what's that tell you about a car?
Yeah, there you go. Now, my question to you is, if we put 12 to 18 inches of gravel like has been done on Overlook and so forth, would that allow traffic to pass reasonably on Alpine and return to two-way?
I think so, if it's done on the uphill side, so it doesn't wash off.
Well, I'm actually my recommendation would be to put it on both sides because I don't believe the dirt works.
I agree. The dirt does not work, and even if it doesn't wash off, it gets very slick when it's wet. There are areas on the downhill side that it would work. It's reasonably level before it drops off that it would hold gravel. Truly, on the uphill side it would work, and many areas on the downhill side it would work.
Okay, thank you. Of course, we heard from the Curtises, which I have that one as well. Then Kurt Unger, he lives at 897 Alpine part of the year, and what that one way means is to us. Excuse me, this is kind of written, kind of odd. That we always have to back into traffic coming out of our driveway. Well, these are the people who made the request, is this not?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We already know about that. Same thing. I have William Cosgrove. We have a home on Demers Lane off Alpine, and I would definitely like to return to two-way traffic. I would like to ask Ed if you would amend your motion to say, let's put some gravel on each side of this road and revisit the two-way after we decide and hear back from people such as Dan and those that live on that road. Hey, does this meet the need?
Let's vote this motion down, which was to stay one way, and let me go back to my original motion to say let's go to two-way with the addition of that gravel request. Isn't that the proper way to do this?
Well,
but I think
we got a motion on the floor.
I think your motion on the floor is what you said.
No, not really.
No, it's
Remain one way.
No.
And look into it.
No, I'm not saying look into it. I think we need to do the gravel on Alpine, such as was done on Overlook and the later roads that have been paved. And my asking for your motion to change was, let's get that done and then listen to the opinion of the residents on there, say 30 or 60 days from now, and get another opinion.
But in the meantime, you're gonna leave it one way.
And I think we have to right now, yes.
Then I have no problem with withdrawing my motion and making a subsequent motion that we go to two-way, or you said leave it one way, but put the gravel in the ditch on the uphill side.
And that we revisit this once that is done with the residents.
That's my motion.
And, thank you.
I have one more question regarding graveling on the side. I run up that road all the time, and I've looked at it, say, you know, what about on the left side? But the left side carries the runoff from the mountain and is a ditch type thing. If you fill that in, you know, to get your space over on that side, you have to go into the ditch, which then the water may just run right over the road.
Well, I think
You know,
that's
as
all
it
what Chip's saying, to put it on both sides.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know, but
not
on the
saying
right
fill
side.
in the ditch.
Right, but on the right
Can I address
side,
that real quick?
yes.
John?
Unlike Liz, I walk up that road as opposed to running. But what's the possibility of doing every so often a culvert 50 feet long and graveling that, which would give plenty of turnaround room where we'd be able to get around? I mean, you may have to do 10 of those, I don't know, but it would allow the water to drain, but at the same time give you space to get out of the way. Nice thought.
What I was gonna say is, when you're doing the gravel in the ditch, you're not gonna bring it up level with the road. You're gonna bring it up enough so that a car that goes off onto that slope isn't gonna bottom out.
Exactly, that's my whole point. If you've got the road here, the gravel may be at an angle here, but that way at least it's not have a large gap between the dirt below, and that's where the cars are hitting bottom. When, like say, you're a small car and then even a UPS truck get bottom.
I have a question. I think John had a superb idea. I don't know how deep the ditch is up there, what it would take to put culverts in there to drain the water off, and then put culverts on the walls, strong enough, and you have gravel over it, which is a big deal. I know that takes some money, but.
Come speak in the mic in here. You have a nice, sweet, soft voice.
It's not normal. Nobody ever used that.
Yeah, I was just saying, John, I think had a really good idea, but I don't know how deep the ditch is, how deep a culvert you would need, but if you put a culvert in there, then you could gravel over the culvert to support somebody with an emergency pull-off, unless you made the culverts out of very thin metal or something like that, which would cave in under the weight of the gravel. But if you put some decent culverts in there, wouldn't even have to be all the way. It would have to just be periodically, where people that were up and down that road realized that those places were available for turnaround, or for not turnarounds, but to pull off and then let somebody go by. And that wouldn't be a huge expense for the city, I wouldn't think. I don't know. Alpine's not that long a road. So I think John's idea was quite good myself, but from an engineering standpoint, it looked like a good solution.
Isn't there a material at extra cost that we could use or work with that would make that gravel like concrete or form? I don't mean cement, but something that would make gravel more resistant to water.
Crush and run just about that. It's a mix of number 5, number 7, and sands and so forth, so it packs into a car.
Linda, could you kind of give us some feedback? I thought that we had the DOT come up here and study that whole situation up there. What kind of recommendations did they come back with, if any? Because what I'm hearing, and my concern here, is this road's 4 feet narrower than any of the other roads. So if you're going to build that ditch out, you got to get at least 3 or 4 feet. It requires pass safety. So.
Well, several things. The width of the road probably varies along the road. It's probably not exactly the same width all the way down the road, but in a lot of places it's probably more like 16 feet. Overlooks one of our larger roads, Sky Valley Way being the largest road we have. So we have a lot of roads that are in that 14 to 16 feet wide. As far as the DOT looking at, Georgia DOT did not look at it. It was at least 16 feet to qualify for some funding that we got. So at least part of it is 16 feet or we wouldn't have gotten the funding when they came to look at it. But on the Raven County road department, they came up and they helped us with building the shoulders, what they felt could be built. They usually do not build on the ditch side for the obvious reason that you want your water to go down the ditch, and you don't want to fill that in with anything that could possibly stop up your culverts and that kind of thing. You could pipe portions of it, although you just have to be careful with the runoff from the mountain. It's gonna go across the road, then it's not gonna make it to your ditch if you gravel that part of it. As long as you keep it gravel and you use the big gravel, like the number 4s instead of the crusher run, then the water can still filter through it, and that, will work too. It won't, as long as it's not, asphalted at a later date as a pull-off, then you'll still, get the water through the gravel. It can't make it into the pipe, but it won't necessarily flood out your road. Did I touch on all your questions?
Well, I was just curious, what kind of suggestions?
Yeah, the county came up and looked at the one-way, they determined, we looked at the one house, trying to make sure that they could, because their driveway did come at an angle, so we did make the one-way start past their driveway, so they could get in at the right angle, at least into their driveway and coming out. Of course, they're facing the wrong direction unless they can do the wide angle turn. But it's not an easy situation, like the chief said. It's not an uncommon situation in Sky Valley. We have it in a lot of different areas. This may be a more widely used road than some of them. Some of them are more of the smaller dead-end roads. This one is used to get to Alex Mountain sometimes. According to the chief, it's actually not any faster to get that way, but a lot of people use it anyway. So there's not a perfect solution.
We have a motion. I don't think we had a second on that motion. Have a second?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All approved? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Can I just say one thing? If we want to do it like the same material that was done on the road project that we just had, we didn't do that. So an outside contractor that's specifically set up to do that is who did that work, and that's why it looks as good as it does. But I can have them come up and take a look at it, and assuming that they don't see any problems with it, then we can
Get us a number.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Thanks. Now, open up to a public forum and general comment. We probably had a lot of that already, but do we have any more?
I noticed about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, that there is.
Come on, we want to hear. I'm up here, you can join me, Susie. All right.
I noticed about 2 months ago, as we were picking up mail, that there was a nice set of bleachers right next to the pickleball court. I asked of 3 council members, and they did not know where this came from or that they were even there. I waited a while, and then I called the city and was told, I thought kind of informally, so I wanted to ask where this came from, where, was it part of the pickleball project, and where does it show up, or why weren't we notified if it was a separate thing? I know it might be a small amount of money, but I was kind of surprised that it was there and nobody knew that it was there.
Any further discussion or comment?
I can respond to her. It is shown in the park budget. It is not shown as an expense for the pickleball. Well, I don't have the print on the pickleball, but it wasn't in the pickleball project, but it is shown as an expense in the park budget,
So where would we see that?
in the Parks Department.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Hoppy's brought the tent. Did he already? So he is either letting us borrow it or donating it, I'm not sure, but we did not purchase the tent. That's John Hoppy's.
Any further comments? I'm entertaining the motion,
I
but
have one request. The meetings are now being recorded, and the recording is on the website. That appears to be done in lieu of hard copy minutes. Can you give up?
No, we still do hard copy minutes.
I was unable to open any minutes where there was you don't have time to sit and watch the whole video. It's nice to be able to.
Yeah, the minutes are posted to the website once they're approved. So for like last month, we'll post last month's is today. And then, they're in different columns. So you've got your video to the right, the minutes will be in the middle, and the agenda packets are on the left.
To Dan's point, I believe they're about 3 months missing at this point. Is that correct? Because I tried to go back and
Oh,
look
but
to it.
it probably is if they weren't approved.
Well, we had the special meeting and a regular meeting. So, but I'll double check, make sure they're all still.
Neil,
Either my hearing is going, or I know it.
What'd you say?
Right. I said either my hearing is going, or the acoustics here is terrible. And either we need to get a better microphone system, speaker system, or something, because I strained to hear, even with a microphone. And I also think maybe there's a setting where you could turn up the treble rather than the bass on this, and it might make a lot of difference. If you've got the bass turned up, you'll hear growls. If you turn the treble up, it might cure the situation. I just happened to cross my mind while I was sitting back there, and I wanted to mention it.
Keep talking, Linda said she's working on it.
She's working, okay, good, let's do that. So what am I going to say? I've said it.
our unit does not
Acoustics are not
say,
very good.
our system does not say treble or bass.
It doesn't?
They do, I don't know.
Oh, she didn't know. But anyway, that's something might be worthwhile testing. I'm not an audio engineer, but I do play with audio stuff a lot. So, just a thought. Try that, see if that works with our own system, but something needs to be done so that everybody can hear distinctly what people are saying. Yes, Bob?
Neil, I think it works a lot better when you hold the mic up close to your...
I got it right here, close. Well, that's pretty close right here. I mean, what's if it makes that much difference?
Yes.
You've still got a problem, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Did that turn that? What?
What do you mean, Neil?
I can swallow it. Maybe that's what you want. We got the volume up. Are we doing anything with the treble?
Neil, you won't have that problem anymore because you'll be sitting up here.
But they're the ones that have the problem. That's the ones we want to have here, actually, as well. So thank you for listening.
Bill?
Bill, give him a time limit.
Yes. I haven't had a microphone in a long time, so I wanted to take a minute and, in all honesty, say to this council who are leaving, including the mayor, we've all had disagreements, and we continue to have disagreements, but your service has been very much appreciated. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, not a lot of pay, but the pay does come in different currencies. I think we owe these guys a hand of applause for all their work. These mics follow me everywhere.
Thank you, Milton. Bob? Any further comments? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Adjourned.
45 minutes? Might as well.
There.
All right.
Bob,
Let me in.